what a real show looks like. Okay. Welcome, everyone, to the Krystal Archive Podcast, episode number 35. I'm your host, Mr. Krystal, and thank you. Thank both of you. And we have a lot to show you today. We're joined by Krystal here. Krystal, if you could come this way, over here, so the camera can see you. Right there, right there. Stop. Yeah, there you go. You got it.
I got it.
Right there. Right there. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's delayed. Thank you. Now, over here. How many errors have you? Watch down there. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So I have a couple of Star Fox paraphernalia here that I'd like Krystal to model for us. She's agreed to do so. So if you would have some things. Model, if you will model those, please. This is the Star Fox Adventures and Assault for the Japanese version. We have easily. We have the various Star Fox Assault Japanese players guides. I'll step out of frame. This is something that was talked about for some time. So Circuit City often used to do pre-order bonuses, and this is the one that Circuit City did. It's the Star Fox Adventures Survival Pack, and the interesting thing is what it has inside, which is some Star Fox Jones soda and Star Fox toilet paper with game also an air freshener for your car. I've had my own. This is an extra one. I had a separate one in my car for the past 15 years or whatever it's been out. It doesn't smell like anything anymore. Thank you very much. If you're welcome to come up here in a moment after we're done and have a look at this stuff. I've also got like a signed copy of a picture of Lindsay Glidewell, voice of Krystal from Assault, and some other stuff as well. Okay, the real show begins. All right, so I have been working for a long time on this presentation, doing some research, and so let's start with the beginning. There's me, Mr. Krystal. You can contact me at that address, KrystalArchive.com. If you haven't been there already, check it out. Here's the plan. This is being broadcast live online. We've got 1 hour and a lot to cover. I don't actually have a watch. If you could, just warn me within 5-minute mark if we get close to it. Hopefully we won't. If you have any questions or comments during the show, please bring them up. Unless it's a really long one or a complex question or comment, and we'll save them for the end if we have time. This is a family-friendly show. Let's keep it clean, please. All right. So, who here does not know anything about Krystal or Krystal Archive or anything like that? Oh. So, perfect. This is for you. Okay, this is a quick Krystal primer. All right. So, Krystal is a blue vixen fox who appeared in several Star Fox games, starting with Star Fox. Oh, my. That's my fault. More technical difficulties. No, it's just cut off. That's weird. What's going on? That's going to really mess with my show. Not satisfied. Let's see. I sincerely apologize for not noticing that. Okay. No, understand. There it goes. My fault. Where did that go?
Yeah, that'll help. I still think it's displayed full screen.
Huh.
Yeah,
Well,
it helps.
It helps? Okay.
You can see Krystal.
We've got a technical difficulty. It's cutting off my part of my slides. Oh well. We'll move on. So she appeared in a couple of games. Star Fox Adventures at first in 2002, and then 2004, Star Fox Assault. She also appeared in Star Fox Command, which is a portable game, and as yet we don't know what's going to happen as far as next future Smash Brothers possible DLC, or the next Star Fox game, which is supposed to come out this year. Given her rather risque mode of dress, she has been well known as a furry icon, both with furries and without furries. If that's the right phrase. Leading to this phrase, "Dude, it's cool. Everybody's furry for Krystal," and everyone includes me. Okay, so she is my gateway drug to all of this. Sorry. So, the Krystal Archive, my website. It's over 9 years old. We cover everything Krystal related. It's got official artwork and screens related to Krystal, game cutscenes, voice audio from their voice acting, articles, a podcast, which are now all participants in, and any official Krystal or Star Fox news, of which there's been a lot in the last year or so. We also cover fan works. We've got fan art. We've got fan fiction, which there's no picture for that. There's cosplay, of course. This is that's Ayano's earlier costume. And we also do 3D modeling, rendering, and fan games, which we'll be talking about one of those in just a second. So that's Krystal. Now, recent developments in the world of Star Fox and Krystal. This is, if you've been on the site, you've seen some of this before. But there's a curious case of Super Smash Bros. Wii U. It features a Star Fox stage. This is from Star Fox Assault, the Orbital Gate stage. This stage was a spitting image of one of the stages in Star Fox Assault. And like all previous Smash Bros. Games, there's a cameo appearance by the Star Fox characters. But oddly enough, even though Krystal is in the stage in Smash Brothers or in Star Fox Assault, she does not appear in this stage. Neither does Wolf and his team, and they also appear in that stage, which is very strange. And she doesn't appear in the cameos. She doesn't appear in the stage itself. There's only 3 R-Wings flying around, even though there's supposed to be 4 at least, plus Wolf and for Wolf's team. People have used this as evidence that Nintendo is getting rid of Krystal as a character from the series, or possibly rebooting the series. I think that if they think that, they should also be consistent and claim that Wolf and his team are also being removed, but no one seems to be making that claim. So that's where I come down on that. Star Fox Assault, as of Valentine's Day, February 14th, was celebrated its 10th anniversary. Yeah. Star Fox Adventures celebrated its birthday 2 years prior, I believe. And it won't be long now. Star Fox Command in about 3 years will celebrate its birthday, 10 years. Miyamoto has said that this is going to be the year of Star Fox, much like the year of Luigi last year. But so far, there's been no indication of what that's going to entail, other than a new Star Fox game. Star Fox Event Horizon by Undying Nephilim. This is the most complete Star Fox fan game / mod / whatever, featuring 24 characters, a ton of missions. Here's the poster. It's going to try and cover the entirety of the Star Fox universe history, from before the first Star Fox game, covering when James McCloud was betrayed by Pigma, all the way to past the events of Command. So it's going to try and cover everything. I've got a quick trailer here. It's going to show a couple of the characters. I'm just going to show a few. So this is based on the free space mod. You can fly anywhere at any time. And hundreds of enemies simultaneously. All the characters have different ships, some of them vary wildly. The way they fly and the kinds of weapons they can use. I'm going to show a couple more of these characters. Oh, and also the characters that they use and the story that they use covers the entire history, not just in the games, but they're also going to feature characters from the Star Fox, unreleased games like Star Fox 2, that's video, I think. And also, they're going to cover characters from the Star Fox Chronicles as well. I think, if they haven't already, they're going to show Para Phoenix, I think. Yeah, it is. Para Phoenix. She's in the comic books, never in any games. The crystal is, there's two crystals in this game. There's this one, which is basically her assault cell. And then there's also, in a second we'll talk about her playing as her command cell when she temporarily joins the Cornerian military as an officer. So she's flying basically the same thing that all the Lylat-Cornerian defense fleet flies. This bottlenose ship. So anyway, there's already been 2 playable demos released. You can find both of them on my site and his site. Download them today and play, including a fully voiced tutorial level, because some of those controls are really different from the old Star Fox games. You can it goes extensively into how to play the game, and it's James McCloud actually teaching Fox how to fly. So it's pretty sweet. Patreon funded, and just a ton of content. And it's all being really made by one guy. He's gotten to this stage of development, and he's actually, well, I don't know if he is anymore, but he's actually looking for voice actors, which normally should be the last thing you do, and he's already gotten to that point. So that's good. Okay, and the big one, Star Fox for the Wii U is coming out sometime this year. We don't know when, but it's going to come out before The Legend of Zelda Wii U, which is crazy because we haven't seen what it looks like. There's been rumors / semi-official information that it's going to be an episodic game series, which may explain why they're able to develop it so quickly. But it's definitely going to use the gamepad as the cockpit view, and the TV view will be a more cinematic experience. Third person and doing crazy camera angles. Some amount of control through the motion controls, but I'm hoping that they'll also allow joystick controls. Okay, so that covers recent developments. So now I've got new stuff I've been working on. You ready? You ready for this? Okay. So, if you've been watching the site, I've been doing some research. There's been some videos I want to do related to Krystal and Star Fox and other video games in general. And I've purchased some tech to give me better captures. This was the old version. This is approximately the correct size based on this size of the screen for the resolution I was able to achieve. This is over an analog capture device over cables. And this is the best you could do with the old component. Since then, I got a Wii to HDMI adapter combined with a 60 FPS uncompressed capture device. And that gives us a little bit better picture, still the same resolution, but it's not, it never crosses the analog digital barrier, so you don't lose some of the information. And it actually is a little bit better than you could achieve before. Now this is when it's stretched. When you put it in widescreen mode, it looks a little, but you lose some of the detail from the stretching. Because the stretching actually gave you more detail and more surface area to work with. So when you compress it, there's not as much to work with, but technically this is correct. Now years ago, I was sent this image. This is an emulated screenshot. And it's far, far better. Although there are still some limitations, like you can see here. Let me see if I can zoom. Yes. Right over here. See this aliasing on the pot? We can do better than that. So I started my research into emulation. And this is what I have today. So 16 times anti-alias, very, very good quality. Don't worry about these double images here. You can see there's some kind of a double image on the pot. That's actually the way the game does depth of field. It actually projects another copy of the entire world blurred. But anyway, so we've got that, and I ran into some problems with the emulator. This is my first time working with emulators. It's very fortuitous that I've tried it now, today, like this time period, because this is the first time that the video quality I was able to get can be synced with the sound, and a whole bunch of issues are removed. Star Fox Adventures was basically unplayable for most of the emulator's lifetime. It's only very recently that they had finally discovered it. Because, as it turns out, Adventures is probably one of the most technologically advanced GameCube games ever made, even though it was one of the first. Rare really knew their stuff. Unfortunately, it wasn't perfect. For example, the cutscene subtitles were either broken or the wrong ones. So I had to remaster them. That gave me an opportunity. So if you look, I'll show you what I was able to do with the cutscenes, having to redo them myself. Oh, wait, sorry. All of them. We have all of them. It was recorded higher than HD, compressed down to 1080p, 60 FPS. There are on YouTube right now. All I have to do is flip the switch, and they'll be public, all of them. I'll put the full resolution downloads on the site in a few days, as long as it takes me to upload them. And I remastered the subtitles, as I said. Here's what one of those looks like. I hope it.
General Scales, Hiko, Kohud, Otaskuki, if dinosaur planet. Ud miokraju, ui kimo nekt.
Am dek kutsoho kekorik oi. Am etko kutsoho rozvejo evu tashkov zuk.
Utashkov zuk? Kiash niko kutuk, ash atashkov.
Keo klauderne kekt mojorik oi. Keo ola general.
Moak, aundekulak. Ahiko ilokio, mudu tatishwi kiao. Kiok, ash mio amikiko kusash kutuk nakivu. Ikielaju, kio vik oknush kokeva wika wok mo. Uetuoki sekotwo mo. Kia chachtekelu. Eagle Soul Tabuk, General Scales.
Not really.
Proces general. Moro do kemo.
Kia chachtekelu.
Hoshvat keo yeso ev keo tashkov shaduk.
Okay, I tried to zoom in there. You can't see it because of technical difficulties, but I put all of the Saurian translations underneath the English text, and it cut it off, like the whole point of showing that. So you can see that. I'm sorry. Yes?
Were you using some ridiculously powerful computer to render that, or was it rendered in something less than real time?
So Star Fox Adventures actually can't even be played in real time, let alone recorded. But as far as super powerful computer, I built my own reasonably powerful computer at the beginning of last year, mostly to play games. It was only later that I realized, wait a minute, I could actually do this emulation thing. Although these days, any moderately powerful laptop could do the emulator, because the way they change the emulator is that it synchronizes sound with the video. That means that the video will play and the audio will play at exactly the same speed. So it won't sound very good most of the time if it's not playing at real speed, but recording it will give you exactly the right audio. This has been untrue for a long time. The audio would start playing at the correct time, and it would play in real time while the video would lag behind. So that's the way that works. Now, big fat warning here. All right, I am not a lawyer. Okay, the use of emulators is questionable at best. The Krystal Archive does not condone the use of emulators for playing video games, traditional gaming. I've only used the emulator for research, educational, and data archival purposes. And when I say educational, I mean like actually figuring out how this stuff works. And I personally rip my own games, okay? I actually own all of these games that I'm looking at here today, Adventures and the other ones, myself using my own hardware. And if you take this route, I recommend you do that, so at least you can say you didn't download some illegal ROM. But I don't condone it. As much as I would love, tears in my eyes, to play Xenoblade Chronicles in 1080p, 60 FPS. It's a beautiful game. You can never play it at that resolution, because that's where I draw the line, unfortunately. Now, about Star Fox Assault. Can we get those? I'm working on it. So there's a couple issues like this one. It's a little bit difficult for you to see on here, but everywhere there's text, there's these little lines. You see the green lines there? Okay. It turns out that whatever they're using to render the text is messed up. I'm basically going to have to replace all the text in the game, which I can do, but it's going to take some time. Here's another example. A little harder to see, but there's little white lines at the end of the text and up near General Pepper over there on the left side. So that's all I can do for now, but it is possible, very possible. In fact, it's much easier to record this game than Adventures was. Code research. Now, I've got access to the emulator. I can do more than just record video games. Since 2007, it's been known that there has been a Fox 2 Krystal Max Replay code that lets you replace Fox's model with Krystal's. I tried it myself and was unable to get it to work. In 2009, one other person was able to get it to work, but only with the player's choice version. Okay, and I did obtain a player's choice version. It was much more difficult to obtain, but I did get one. But it turns out that this code does not necessarily require it. It's just a matter of how you do it. So,
what's going on? You said this would save her.
What? The best part is wait for it. There's a really awesome part. Also, her eyes are messed up because the model is different, but the animated bones are slightly different.
Wake up! Wake up!
Here it comes. There's two crystals at the same time. They're both holding on. And Crystal's like, what is happening right now?
I am reborn, the mighty Krystal
This is towards the end of the game. Spoilers. It is like a 13-year-old game.
Souls that stand before me.
Does not have a staff, and then suddenly
We will never kneel to you.
she has a staff.
Give me that.
Hey, wait! Well, thanks for nothing. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be standing here at all.
My staff. You're back.
That's not the emulator's fault. That's actually what happens in the game. They body was developed. So there's that. Now this is known, okay? People have known you've been able to do this for some time. But what they didn't know is how it worked. I was able to figure out a little bit more about how it works. There are many other possible cutscenes. At the time, they only knew about the last two, basically, and maybe one in the middle, okay? I found out that there's a whole subsection of cutscenes that she can do. She can release the Krystal spirits herself. Now, for you who don't know, the Krystal spirits, all 6 have to be released before she's released from that crystal prison, and so Fox has to release all but one of them. But I can make it so that she releases all of them. So any cutscene in or directly around the Krystal Palace, any of them, and I mean any of them, including the first 2 cutscenes of the last Krystal Shrine. So she gets trapped inside the scales, and then
I've been waiting for you, Fox McCloud. Yeah! You may have returned the spellstones, but the war is not over yet. Now you must face me.
And unfortunately, because it doesn't have a staff, and she can't have the staff, she has the staff game crashes. I can't fight him to trigger the final cutscene, unfortunately, which would have been a much nicer cutscene to have. So the player's choice version, which I only got recently, is definitely different. I was able to get the first cutscenes in the Great Fox, where Fox and Slippy and Peppy and General Pepper are all talking to each other. I was able to get that to work one time, and I wasn't recording at the time, and I haven't been able to duplicate it yet. But that was only like 2 weeks ago. I'm going to continue to research, see if I can find more of those with different with the player's choice versions. And there's been some issues. These are kind of funny, the issues that I ran into dealing with this code. So first off, So the first issue is that Krystal's model is taller than Fox's. Fox's model is intentionally smaller or something like that. So when Krystal's model replaces it, it becomes bigger. So without changing the code, you get this.
What are you doing? Up here! What are you doing, Fox? Release the spirit and get out of there!
So I modified a sizing change code to make it a little shorter. It's about the same
What
size.
am I doing? Up here!
Arguably not a better picture
What are you
of the
doing,
eyes.
Fox?
Yeah.
Release the spirit and get out of there!
Another issue I faced was I can't use it in every cutscene. Here's one. Now, one last thing on that. If you leave the Krystal Palace, it usually crashes the game. And for the GameCube, that would mean like automatically restarting the system. But for the emulator, it just goes to a black screen and tells you that you're running at 0 frames per second. Except one time.
Right there, Fox. Time for you to head down to the sign. Check the signpost for direction.
Okay, big fella. Good to see you doing your job.
You cheeky little blinder. Now, I've been keeping this back for you, ready for when you needed it.
Box in a box.
Are you ready to go?
I should have just kept recording. I thought that was going to happen every time. So, Krystal code. That's why that happens. So when she arrives at this place, she's never supposed to be. It's already Krystal. Okay. This cutscene's also on already. So naturally enough, I had to do it. Alright. So, like the other cutscenes, these are already on YouTube, ready to go, ready for me to flip the switch. And I also will make a video explaining how to do this, how it was done, because releasing the third and fourth Grizoa Spirit is a ridiculously complicated series of events you have to do in order without pushing a certain button before it will actually activate. Okay. Audio research. So I have an emulator. I can do more than just video. Now, years ago, before I actually made the Krystal Archive, I had extracted via some programs all the voice acting in adventures, and you can find it right at that address, all of it. It's all subtitles. You can see, you can click it and listen to it, but you can also read what it says, including the dinosaur language, the Saurian, and the translations. Now, this is mostly audio that's used in cutscenes, and mostly cutscenes and cutscenes, because there are different types of cutscenes. Sometimes they're like movie cutscenes, and sometimes they're just what you're doing at the time. Okay, I had recorded for StarFoxOnline.net, the StarFox website. I had recorded the audio for the music for the game previously. And even though there's a sound test mode that doesn't have all of the music, so I had to play through the entire game listening for differences, finding those that are not in the sound test mode, and then recording those directly. But now, it turns out that Star Fox Adventures decoding is serious business on the internet these days. And that's because Star Fox Adventures had a really radical, messed up development cycle. It was originally not a Star Fox game at all. It was originally Dinosaur Planet, and as a result, the source code is littered with junk that is actually from previous games. Hugo Peters, a couple of months ago, again, the timing is just perfect. Hugo Peters, less than a year ago, released Music's Player version 2, which allows you to play the audio from the game and sound effects. So I've decoded the sound effects that were not part of voice acting cutscenes of Krystal in Adventures and Dinosaur Planet. To my knowledge, no one's done that before. So this is from Adventures, just grunts and cries and stuff like that. I had to put them all together. Sorry about that. Yeah. Okay. The Dinosaur Planet one is it starts out, because she's the main character, she interacts with other characters. So she has some stuff where she's interacting with her companion, like Trick, but in this case it would be Kite or Tricky.
Chase! Distract them! Fight! Fetch! Come here! Hide and seek! Look after it! Go play! Rodeo! Seek it out!
So apparently they had a ton of mini games and adventures, and that also has all the cries and stuff. So this is a big hobby. Hugo Peters is actually decoding these textures, audio, and hidden gameplay. Now, if you played the game, you know that when you go to attack scales, the very end of the game, you go to attack, and as soon as you start to attack, cutscene, you can't actually fight him. There's no final boss. Well, it turns out they actually did build part of the final boss, and he was able to decode playable gameplay of that fight. Now, Scales is about this tall, okay? He's about 4 feet tall. He's shorter than Fox. And you fight him basically like a regular old shark claw. But it is playable, and that's remarkable. You can check out his blog, HugoPeters.tumblr.com, where he talks about all this stuff. Yes?
Oh, I was just wondering, was that just from the final adventures, or was that also from the adventures prototype? From what I understand, it had a whole lot more Dinosaur Planet.
Well, as far as I know, there is no prototype available to the public in any form. If you found one, I want to talk to you afterwards.
Okay, maybe I misread.
I'd be happy to be wrong about this.
Okay.
All right.
Well, you probably know more than me.
Well, we'll see. Again, I'm talking about this now because I haven't even had time to read through all this stuff. Heck Yeah, Dinosaur Planet, and Dinosaur Planet SFA. These are also blogs where they're doing a bunch of decoding work. And it turns out that the regular old game has 3 sections in it. The game, the kiosk version of the game that you could play in like Walmart, which, why is that there? It shouldn't even be on the disc. And then a bunch of stuff from Dinosaur Planet. So they've been using that to actually turn off the kiosk version, that actually replay, so they can play the kiosk version of the game and access beta areas that you couldn't otherwise see. And that's one of the ways he found that hidden scale spike. Okay, Star Fox Assault. So I've been wanting the sound effects from Star Fox Assault for forever, because unlike Adventures, we're not able to get the voice acting the same way that we could for Adventures. Somebody asked really nicely at this emulation forum on some dark corner of the internet, hey, I want to decode the sound effects from Star Fox Assault. And he's like, well, first he insulted him, but then he's like, okay, that was me. Here's a script. And he wrote a script and did it. And it didn't work. I tried it, didn't work. It would only decode like 1% of the cutscenes. It's like, I guess he just tested on those and didn't try any others. Didn't work. But even when it did decode it, it cut off like the last second. It was horrible. Now, I couldn't understand the data compression algorithm that it was using and what he was doing with binary, but I was able to understand enough of the script to fix it so it would actually export. So I've been able to decrypt upwards of 99% of the sound effects in the entire game. That's 3,290 sound effects, and also the Japanese versions, because I have the Japanese version of the game. Did the same thing. It's been known for a while that when you play the certain levels long enough, the characters start talking to each other about what's going on. It's not related to what they're actively doing. Like they talk about the last mission or the next mission that they're going to go on. And those, we wanted to know what those are. There's no way to find out except like playing the game for literally like 45 minutes on one level. Okay. Well, now we've got all of them. So I have some of my favorites. So this has happened sometime in the level. I've never heard it on the game myself. So.
How lovely. Would you like to visit again? Just us two?
Yeah, hey, easy on the flirting, huh? We're in a war here.
That was very practical-minded. Soria had a ton of conversations. They're talking about the dinosaurs and their plight.
I see no dinosaurs. I hope Tricky's folk are safe.
Don't worry. I'm sure they found refuge somewhere.
I'm afraid these outfits are a little warm.
I don't think we have time to change.
I hardly see any dinosaurs.
It looks like even the Sharpclaw tribe's been wiped out. Crud, this planet is totally defenseless. What happened to all the airborne dinosaurs?
The Cloud Tribe is extremely proud. I hate to say it, but...
Oh, what scum. Who could do this to Saria?
But it gets more interesting. Panther, I think, is my favorite character now. Besides Krystal, of course. So he's obsessed with fine dining.
Oh no. One of my favorite cafes got totaled. When this is all done, I want a first-class meal.
Love that voice.
You want to ride on my wing, Krystal?
As long as I'm covering Fox.
Oh, okay. Fine.
And lastly, the Lylat system, official, unofficial sport. Bashing Slippy. There are so many. This is not even all of them. This is not even half of them.
Slippy, do you think the targeting system's a bit off?
Are you doubting my skills as a mechanic? Really?
As far as I know, that's the only time he ever does that.
It's been a long time since we saw Pigma and Oikony. No one's changed at all.
You're the one who hasn't changed at all, Slippy.
Peppy.
This is ridiculous. Fox, take care of that stupid frog, will you?
And,
all ships move forward into the asteroid belt. That's a lot of meteorites.
It's not that bad. We'll be okay.
You're an absolute moron. You know that? Moron. You know that, Slippy?
That's what we love about him.
Krystal, and of course, I found one of these tricky ones.
Don't you know when it's time to die, you filthy bugs?
Technically speaking, the aporoids are neither bugs nor alive.
That's good to know, Peppy. Thanks a lot. Smart aleck bunny.
Which is ironic, because Peppy is not a bunny, he's a hare. Get it right. I need volunteers. So I have not nearly enough time to subtitle all 3,290. And I'm not asking any one person to do it. I want to spread the love around as much as possible. Same for Japanese clips. If any of you know Japanese, over there, maybe, possibly, we can get those subtitled and put online. I'm going to put them up, and you'll be able to listen to them, and then submit to me the ones you feel like doing the subtitles. Watch for info on the site. Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Okay, I talked about the hidden taunts, the hidden cameo appearances, and Brawl featured Krystal voice acting. We've known this for some time. However, this is a quote: both Snake's radio taunts and the Star Fox radio taunts are sequenced in-game, therefore making them unextractable. So I ripped them via line in. I managed to get all of Snake's taunts without any sound effects, with the exception of the 4KO taunts. But the sound effects for the Star Fox taunts was unavoidable. Now this is from Yoshi's the Best, the guy who has the most complete torrent of Super Smash Bros. Brawl sound effects on the entire internet. This is his help. This is from the README file. Okay. Unextractable, unavoidable, really.
What?
No. This is me we're talking about. Let's think in reverse, shall we? Instead of extracting the audio content we want, let's remove the audio we don't want. So I overwrote all of the stage sound effects with silence, and then recorded it with a perfect emulation. The results? Well, let's have a listen.
Looks like we made it to Corneria. Falco sure is sticking it to him out there.
Yes, but don't you find it odd? I've never even seen some of his opponents before.
Well, it is a brawl, after all. Everyone's in on the fight.
That gets me itching for some action. I want in.
No way. Old-timers like you ride the bench. This fight's mine.
What are you two thinking? I'm the only one who can come through in a fight like this.
So, I've got all of the English taunts already recorded, ready to be uploaded. As well, of course, because it's the Krystal Archive, I've separated out just Krystal parts, which will be separately placed on there. Got to do the Japanese version next, then got to do the same thing for the Star Fox taunts from other versions of the game, the melee taunts, the melee ones, and then do some videos of the actual event. But that'll have the sound effects. Okay. That was a lot of work. That represents months of work, and there's still lots to do, as I said, with the volunteers and stuff like that. So, stuff I'm planning for the future. So, I've got these editorial videos I want to do now that I have an emulator. That's why I've delayed some of these videos I was talking about earlier, is because why take the time to make these videos about various subjects when I have this much better video quality I could be using, but I couldn't talk about it because I was going to reveal it all today. So that's going to come sometime maybe this year as I start this year. We've got the Anita Sarkeesian Krystal rebuttal. Everybody know about that one? Know who Anita Sarkeesian is? Yeah. Sort of. Rebuttal. Yeah. So Anita Sarkeesian started her feminist criticism-based videos based on video game characters who are female. And for her very first episode, she used Krystal as her prop. And that would be okay, except that she completely misrepresented Krystal and the game, and really did not do it justice the way it deserved. In fact, she went around the world to not talk about things that would have done in her point. There's also the kiosk version. Now, I actually do have the disc for the real kiosk version, and there are differences from the final game. And now with this max replay code, I can turn off the timer and play through more of the game, but with high resolution. So looking into that. Who pushed Krystal? Okay, at the very beginning of the game, Krystal gets pushed into a crystal. Ironic, I know. But there's been a long-running debate in that great bastion of philosophical debate, YouTube comments, for years about who actually pushed her into that beam of light. And I've maintained for years that it was a combination of general scales in body and andros in mind, in a possession type scenario. Who did it? Most of the internet maintains that it's andros and just andros, and there are so many problems with that. Like, for instance, his face would not physically fit in there, and even if it did, if it hides behind the column like it does, she would be able to see him poking out both sides. Okay, his face is massive, so that wouldn't work. But there's a ton of stuff, and as I looked more into it in my research for the video, there's a lot more subtlety than I originally anticipated. So, and then finally, the Saurian primer, because I understand about the Saurian language probably better than anyone else. I wrote a translator for it. I can speak it a little bit. Like, let's see, what's one of the words she says? Rosaves general, moro locumo. So I feel like, I know enough about it to talk about how to pronounce it, all the rules for it. Okay, the Estelle Ellis interview. Over 2 years ago, I recorded an interview with Estelle Ellis, the original voice actress for Krystal in Adventures. She currently lives in France, and I had to stay up until 2 in the morning over a terrible Wi-Fi Skype connection. But I did do it, and I just haven't had time to edit it because the audio is in 2 streams. My audio and her audio, so I could combine them. I just haven't had time. I'm going to get that soon. I'm sorry. Thank you for your patience on that. And I've been working on the site retooling project. I've run into some technology that will allow for the website to work like an app. When you type in crystalarchive.com and hit enter, it will load up in a split second. It will already be there, and all the posts you have been looking at will already be there, same as opening an app. And then it will check the internet and see if there are new posts and load those in. I know how to do this, but it's a lot of technical work to do it. I've also commissioned a guy to do some custom artwork. I'm going for super, super fast things because the site I found was really slow. And I've got to put together all the content that I've been trying to put together since the 2002 hack, where all of our stuff was completely deleted. So with that, I can take questions and comments. This has been the Krystal Archive Podcast, episode number 35. Thank you all for coming. And yeah, applause. I love applause. Thank you. Okay. Any comments or questions?
I have.
Okay, questions. Yes. You can
I didn't
speak your question. I'll repeat it.
Well, I didn't want to do this until after you were done with your little instruction presentation, but you probably haven't recognized who I am.
You are Eggman 793731.
Close enough.
I got the number wrong.
You obviously recognize me.
I didn't recognize you, but I knew you were coming because you said you were coming in the panel thing. You signed up and said, "I'm going to this thing." You can see.
Oh, wonderful! So I
was waiting for you to come. All right. Hello. Well, I'm glad to meet you finally.
Yeah, I'm Stratosphere Tully, formerly known, currently known as Eggman 9713. I used to be one of the administrators of an old forum that's pretty much inactive now, the Krystal Lovers Association,
which predates the Krystal Archive by 2 or 3 years.
Well, let's see. It started in 2002.
It came out in 2003.
Right.
So just maybe 8 months after the game came out.
And I took over the site in late 2005, which is actually when was my debut in the furry camp.
Right. So here's another person who became a furry because of Krystal. Yeah.
So I killed the surprise. I'm sorry.
That's not great. No, see, I was going to surprise you, but I didn't know what you looked like. So there you go. Thank you for. Let's give him a round of applause for his work. I'm going to call this Eggman and drop the numbers because I can never get them in the right order. Eggman.
I don't go by that name.
What do you go by now?
Stratosphere Tully. That's my furry name.
Let's go by. All right, Stratosphere over here. was instrumental in keeping a forum alive that was close to dying at the time, that has provided an opportunity for me and lots of other people who've done research for Krystal activities like finding promo images that no one knows about. Like, we would have never found like a significant percentage of the content that's on my site now if that site hadn't been there. People weren't all working together looking for stuff on the internet. So that's really good. Thanks.
Unfortunately, the site has been inactive for a number of years now. People have moved on, and I've just been so busy I haven't been able to keep it up at all. Maybe we'll get a random post a month, but it's still there, and I just haven't had the heart to ever take it down. So
that's what I.
It's still there.
I checked it.
You don't have to take it down. You just leave it up.
No, we're gonna. I'm hoping to leave it up as an archive.
Yeah, I don't have any intention of removing it anytime soon just because it has such historical value to it.
Right, exactly. There's still some
I
stuff
can't
I
do
can
anything
respond
on the
to.
old Yuku board where the site originally started between 02 and 05 before I gave it along.
Yeah.
The 05 to present is on my servers, and that's where it will stay for us.
Good. So I suspect that you're probably going to get a little bit more activity when this game comes out at the end of the year.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. Right now, I've got all the registration disabled because of spam bots.
Right.
But I am looking at when such news comes out, allowing it to be reactivated, and maybe if I get time ever, going in and cleaning stuff up a bit and letting it see what happens.
All right. Good. Any other questions or comments?
Oh yeah, I was wrong. You were right. I was thinking of the demo disc. It was listed on the website as a prototype. That's what was got me confused.
So,
it was interactive. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was listed on the cutting room floor as a prototype, and that got me mixed up.
It does have some differences. Starbucks for Super NES, for Japanese version. It turns out that Japanese versions of games for old games are not nearly as expensive as they are in America for old English games, for whatever reason. Okay, I'm going to end it there, and I encourage you all to come look at the Starbucks paraphernalia, and we're going to get some pictures with Ayano if you'd like. Thank you all for coming.